right now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Motor City Metrics and the Minor League Podcast. As we're kind of doing a strange crossover. I don't know. You know what it was? I saw earlier, I went on my TikTok and it suggested Woodward Sports and it just came right to my mind. And so
Dollar
anyway, yeah. Welcome into another episode here as we are watching the Tigers game and just kind of chilling and talking a little bit about the weekend series. The Tigers taking 2 out of 3 from Seattle. Right now the Royals have a 2-0 lead on essentially look like 2 unearned runs. So,
although the pitcher made the error, so he earned it.
yeah, that's true. Chris, how you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
I look like you're brooding there for a moment.
Well, I was just waiting for my picture to pop up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't catch up in the middle.
No, but yeah, there's plenty to get to this evening as the Tigers are in the. Evan Woodbury tweeted out the Paris of the Midwest.
Paris of the Plains.
Paris of the Plains, rather. Excuse me. Paris of the Plains. Detroit originally Detroit was called the Paris.
Yeah.
Of the United States because it was the City of Lights back in the day.
And I always thought Kansas City was the Rome of the Plains because it's supposedly has the second most fountains in the world behind Rome.
They do celebrate their fountains. It is hard to cross the street without running into a fountain someplace over there. No question. Not just at Kauffman Stadium. So, KC's a great road trip, though. I recommend it to anybody. And barring anything weird going on with me, I'll be going down on Wednesday afternoon.
Nice. I want to go there. It's on my list of things to do for, like, just the cross things off that I eventually want to do. But
well, you got the great steakhouses, you got the immaculate barbecue places. There's just so many to choose from. You got the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum and the World War I National Museum, Boulevard Brewing.
Why is World War I? Why is that in Kansas City?
You know, I found out once why, but I don't remember. But yeah, it's the National World War I Museum is in KC.
I'll be darned.
That is fascinating. Although it was an interesting comment that came out this week in regards to former Michigan center, all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank on his name now.
Hunter Dickinson?
Hunter Dickinson, who said, quote, "I feel like Michigan is like a fake Midwest. Kansas is an actual, like a Midwest town. First of all, it's state, you dumbass. And second, are you just trying to stay relevant in the news cycle? I mean, why would you say something stupid like that? That just..."
He's always been like that. He says things that, draw controversy. He likes to do that. I remember he called Wisconsin and Michigan State all sorts of names.
You don't know anything. You don't know squat, you stupid idiot.
I just thought that was a strange comment, an unnecessary comment, really. It was just like, what? Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're here to talk baseball. We're not here to talk about field centers. And we're here to talk about Matt Manning's first start since the combined no-no that we witnessed on last Saturday, which is strange to think that was just last Saturday. And now it's July 17th, folks. This has gone by way too fast. And I always feel like people say that anyways, but yeah, so we're going to talk about the minor leagues. We're going to be recapping what happened over the weekend, and the Tigers, like I said, going over playing the Mariners, take 2 out of 3, which was a big deal. And they come home this weekend to take on the Padres. And so, by the way, speaking of the Negro Leagues, the conference this weekend, the Jerry Malloy Conference is in Detroit starting on Thursday, July 20th. So just wanted to give I'm a Sabre member. And so the Jerry Malloy Conference, Negro League Conference, is from July 20th to July 23rd here in Detroit. So if you still want to register for the conference, if you're a student, there's some single day registrations. There's a meet and greet reception at the Hamtramck Stadium. Friday nights, Tigers Padres game at Comerica Park, with the awards banquet on Saturday night. All of it, 3 sessions are in full registration package. So you can go to saber.com/Malloy, MALLOY, for more information. So if you're interested in that, I will be volunteering and working on Thursday. Friday, Chris and I are heading out to South Bend, Indiana to check as the Whitecaps go to take on the Cubs. And so they're also offering an ability, if you wanted to go see a Toledo Mud Hens game too, with the group of people that are in town to check out baseball. So if you're in the Detroit area and you want to check out the Hamtramck Stadium, by all means, go do so. They've done a fantastic job over there, and not too far away is Kenworth Stadium, home of the Detroit FC soccer club. So they've done a really good job of fixing up the area down there. So, but yeah, so the Tigers Friday come in, and Seattle, feeling the high after hosting the All-Star game, and Eduardo Rodriguez helped his trade value quite a bit. And so we'll start there. And gentlemen, is it just a thing where I know that we looked at some of the comments that was online that Scott Harris said that essentially we'll see how the record is, how it is. But do you find that Bula or not?
I think he's fairly confident their record will be one that screams take a good deal if you can get it. Even though they have a soft looking schedule, they're still, a team that is capable of dropping games that you would hope they would win. So I think I don't think they're going to have too much remorse about pulling a trade and pulling the rug of contention out from beneath the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think his comments about we'll see how we do. It's pretty much he knows they're not going to do well. Yeah. They'll put those Friday and Saturday games together, right? Against the Mariners, where they look like, hey, this is for real. And then what do they do yesterday? No runs. What do they have today? No runs. That's who they are. They're not good enough to put together a long enough winning streak to suddenly be in contention for first place. So he's just saying, being PR savvy or whatever, we'll see what happens. But he knows they're going to be somewhere between 4 and 7 games out of first place at the trade deadline, and they're going to trade guys because they're not good enough.
Yeah, it's his team that
Bula, I guess.
Yeah, it is Bula. It is Bula. I don't know why I thought of the word Bula, but it does scream of nonsense. When you have your assets like this, you trade them. And whether you want to believe in this world that, the Tigers are they'll play the wrong game, and maybe Erod wants to stay. Maybe he does, but what if he doesn't? And you walk away with empty-handed? I don't know. I don't know if that's something that, especially for their quote-unquote rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, I don't picture this being like a total sell-off where they get rid of Lang and Foley and Skubal and they're making giant moves, but they're not going to hold on to guys that they might otherwise lose for nothing. So, I think Cisneros is probably a good bet to go, I think Erod and Lorenzen. But beyond that, I mean, maybe somebody club's calling for McKinstry or something like that, and they go, okay, we got him for relatively nothing. We'll get more for him here. Let's, win this transaction. But I don't think it's being anything more than those other 3 guys.
What about you, Uper?
Well, it's interesting. I don't see anybody that they could trade off that they wouldn't be able to keep playing at more or less the same level they're at now. I mean, they survived without Erod for a long time, and stayed a relatively watchable team. And you think about this weekend, that first win against Seattle, a highly entertaining baseball game. The second win, 6-zip, just a nice, clean, professional baseball game. No base running errors, no big fielding gaffes. I mean, it was, a well-played game. They can put together that kind of game, but they're going to need to make some trades. They're not going to build this team from what they have on hand into a big winner. They're going to have to go out and find some players. And it's not all going to be through the draft. It's not going to be all through the farm system. They have to make some moves, bring in some outside talent from other places. And I think Scott Harris knows that. They need to find that, Steve Kemp for Chet Lemon trade eventually someday too. That'll be the fun one I'll be looking for. A challenge trade that they win.
And I think they have the ability to do so. I think they have the personnel.
Well, yeah, I mean,
in place to do it. Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah, we were just joking around in Discord about, trades. And I was like, all right, we'll trade Skubal to the Cardinals and, Skubal and Foley and get Jordan Walker. How about that? And, something like that might be fun. I don't know if the Cardinals would do that, but yeah, so yeah, I don't picture something like that happening mid-season, though. I think you'll see bigger deals in the offseason if they go that route.
Agreed.
Yeah, especially with the and Christopher in the chat said, I think the Tigers should stand pat. They're not good enough to seriously compete. However, on the other hand, their most valuable trade releases are too far important to the future, other than Erod anyway. Yeah, I mean, I was on the boat. I've been on the boat about not trading Lang or Foley, but at the same time, if Bo Brisky does what he did over the weekend, you kind of have to go, well, wait a minute, maybe we'll be all right. Brisky came out throwing 97, 98 pretty well. I'm not sure how long that's going to last, but he's got one of the better changeups. So you come out with the fastball and that cutter he's got. It's not bad of a combination.
Everything was moving.
Yeah.
Nothing looked straight that came out of his hand that day, man. That was pretty fun to watch.
Oh, sorry, Chris. You're on a weird delay too. So I'm not sure. I'm waiting for you to talk, and then I'm like,
yeah, I don't know what's going on. Let me leave and come back and see if that helps.
Okay. All right. So
yeah, just kind of go back. I am definitely in favor if they can find a deal for Alex Lang, you do that in a heartbeat. But I've always been kind of the low man on Lang.
Yeah.
Doesn't throw enough strikes for me. Even when he gets guys out, he doesn't throw strikes. So, Foley, boy, he's impressive. If someone said you didn't want to move him, I could get it behind that. But at the same time, if you could get a guy, say, just on a level better than Justin Henry Malloy, okay, for Foley, do you do that? I kind of think the system needs it.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think it's. I don't know what kind of trade market we're going to be dealing with, though, Uper. I mean, it's you look at the AL East, which is still you're expecting the Yankees to make a move. And somebody suggested a trade about Paul or O'Neill from St. Louis to New York, and I could definitely see that. And that's a trade that I wanted the Tigers to make for a long time, but I don't see that happening now. And I wouldn't think it much sense. Tyler O'Neill's got too much injuries behind him, so
yeah.
But at this point. I don't know. It's just it's a strange thing because you haven't seen anything, even a small trade, or not really even a small trade as of yet. Meanwhile, you have the Mets too are just imploding, and just the Mets are.
Yeah, that's a wild card. What are they going to do?
Yeah. Oh, on a programming note, by the way, we're back to a regular scheduled programming on Thursdays. Thursdays and Sundays is when usually the Thursday show. Motor City Bengals. Wow, see what is with me tonight? This is what happens when,
it's old home week for you.
Yeah, but honestly, it's been, I suffer from bouts of insomnia and I didn't sleep the last couple of days. And so it's been kicking in today big time. And I took a nap before podcasting, so I'm still a little off. Programming note though. So Thursdays at 9, Motor City Metrics. You'll see us every night on Thursdays. Sunday at 9, Tiger Minor League Report. And we do a Monday show, Monday or Sunday, the second show of the week. So just want to get that out of the way real quick.
One trade that has happened was Aroldis Chapman.
Oh, yes.
So a relief pitcher. Now, obviously, no one's confusing Jason Foley with Aroldis Chapman. But he got back a pretty solid-looking starting pitching prospect, guy who throws upper 90s, and then a 17-year-old lottery ticket in the Caribbean who people think have some skills. So if that's kind of what a reliever can get, obviously, but less for Foley than for Aroldis Chapman, I think there's something to work with there.
So I think it was Big Red Machine. I think it was one of the Cincinnati Reds blog sites talked about what would it take for the Tigers to part for former Red, Michael Lorenz. And so I'm trying to pull up the trade right now because I thought it was rather laughable, to be honest with you, because it was, It was 3 players from the AL Central that the Reds could target that MLB trade deadline.
Mhm.
And they mentioned Scar Barlow, Lance Lynn. Okay, that's fine. And then Alex Lang. So they talk about the multiple years control. Let's see if I can find. But again, he doesn't even mention who. See, sometimes I don't really. I don't. Sometimes, as much as I work for, I work for Fanside. Sometimes it frustrates me when they don't offer. So okay, who would you trade him for then?
Yeah.
Here's a premise. I mean, let us know exactly who would you trade it for. I'm trying to find the guy now, but I want the Tigers to develop their minor league players. I want the Tigers to, again, celebrate a pretty good draft they had. They're feeling pretty good about themselves right now. But at the same time, if you're right, if there's somebody that it's coming in and giving them an offer based off who they have now in the front office and that knows something, I mean, hey, might as well go for it.
I would think so. And and the nice thing is that when Scott Harris put together this staff of his, he brought people in from a lot of different organizations. So hopefully they come armed with enough knowledge of some hidden gems from those organizations that maybe they could target. That's something I've been kind of hoping for as we approach this trade deadline. The guy from Tampa, the guy from Los Angeles, those type of guys.
So the the 2 players that this gentleman wrote that the Tigers should trade is Justin Thompson and Joe Boyle. And I'm waiting for Chris to get back because so first and foremost, no. 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 Look, the Reds are loaded. You're not gonna just if you really want Michael Lorenzen that bad, give me an offer. Give me an offer. Don't give me Joe Boyle. And you ask yourself, well, what's the Joe Boyle? What does he consist of? Okay, he's a 5th round draft pick from the 2020 draft, and he does have a really good arm. He's 6'7", 240. So it fits that kind of Tiger profile. He's got 103 strikeouts and 69 innings pitched.
Okay.
Good. All right. Whip of 1.67 though. So you look at that, and you look at, but he's got 66 walks.
That's the first thing I was going to ask.
66 walks and 69 innings pitched. I mean, that's a project arm and a half.
Now, Michael Lorenzen's track record of health is pretty good, isn't it?
Not too bad. Yeah, he kind of faded a little bit last year.
Yeah, but he hasn't had any big surgeries though.
Not that I recall. Yeah.
This is gonna be. He's almost a guy. If they could get him on a 1 or 2 year deal, I could see it.
Yeah.
Some kind of extension. I really could. I mean, he's going to be. Not that I care about Chris Ilitch's money. He should spend his damn money, but they could probably get him on something pretty reasonable. Probably less than Matt Boyd money.
Yeah.
Or nothing else, Matt Boyd money. And I could see bringing him back if he's amenable to it. If they can't find something at the deadline that really kind of trips their trigger.
Yeah, I would be agreeable with that too. He's been a good teammate too as well. A good locker room presence. So he did pitch in the All-Star game, so there's that. But by the way, the Tigers have not scored in 14 straight innings. So it's got the shades of 2022 all over it.
Jordan Lyles. Guy's
Jordan
tough.
Effin Lyles.
He's a Tiger killer.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But yeah, so the other you're asking, okay, the Justin Thompson guy. Who is Justice Thompson? Okay, so this is the other gentleman that they were mentioning in the trade for Michael Lorenzen for the Reds. All right, let's look this over here. So he's down in high A right now. He's 23 years old in high A, which is kind of like,
borderline.
North Carolina. He's a right-handed bat, but 246, 354, 77. Nah. without doing a deep dive. This is just a surface look.
Outfielder?
Outfielder, yeah.
Yeah. You know. Doesn't make us say wow. There's no wows there.
Yeah. But knowing full well the Reds have a crap load of infielders and other prospect talent to go with it. So
don't they have like 5 shortstops that are viable?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They have an embarrassment of riches right now in that system. It's pretty. Hey, look at that system right now. That look, their number one prospect is Noel Marte, and he's made some big leaps this year. He's had a really good season.
Mm-hmm.
It's a guy I like a lot. Cam Collar, third baseman.
Junior college guy a couple of years ago. Right?
Yeah, I believe so. But no, I think he just actually, he got drafted last year, the first round.
Mm-hmm.
They have a bunch of prospects in there. So they even have 1-2 rookie level by the name of Ricardo Cabrera, who apparently is making some waves too. So,
see, that's with the system's lack of shortstops, really, and Javi Baez being at the major league level. If you're going to trade a Foley along with, say, Lorenzen, that's what I would target as one of their shortstops. If they can, obviously, they're going to have a lot of people calling about their shortstops, but that's where I'd go.
By the way, Bloodwright said it's 19 innings. Last 4 Saturday's game, they didn't score 9 yesterday and 6 today. I'm just going by what I saw. Chris Mikowski just tweeted out because I just tweeted it out. I just saw it. And he tweeted out, let's see. Yeah, he tweeted out, he goes, I'm an idiot. Tigers have not scored 19 straight innings. So
yeah, we trust Bloodwright, man. Blood's our guy.
Yeah, Bloodwright, yeah. Bloodwright runs through our veins here. That's a bad analogy. But okay. All right. So moving on. Let's go to I wanted to recap the minor leagues. I was waiting for Chris to come back. I'm not sure if and when he's gonna come back, but I wanted to start with Toledo. As the first and foremost, they play Buffalo, the Blue Jays AAA affiliate. And there was one thing that I noticed right away when I was watching games all weekend: blue and blue. It's weird when they have that the Bison's blue was different than the navy blue of the Mud Hens, but I don't just mix it up. Just give it. I don't know. It's always so weird when you see that color.
It's the one time those hideous red uniforms that the Mud Hens wear would have looked good.
Yeah, the one time. Yeah, exactly. Bloodwright, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Bloodwright. Let's see here.
Exquisite.
Appreciate it. So, final line of Matt Manning, by the way, before we get to Mud Hens recap here: 5 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts, 81 pitches, and 56 strikes. So not bad of a day for Matt Manning.
No, that's a pro start right there.
So the Mud Hens lose 2 out of 3 to the Buffalo, to Buffalo. Again, the pitching has been an issue for the Mud Hens all season long. The bats finally kind of coming alive a little bit, but they were limited on Friday, just 5 runs, and then Sunday to 2 runs, but they did win 7-3. And we saw Justin Henry Malloy hit a home run over the weekend. I believe Parker Meadows did as well. And it was Sunday, by the way. Sunday's game featured Solak, went 3 for 5 on the day too. So there's Chris here. All we get for that. But yeah, Toledo's pitching struggled again. It was a case of Joey Wentz's start on Sunday was kind of laboring. 4 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 2 runs, 3 strikeouts, and 3 walks. He wasn't getting really a lot of swing and miss stuff from what I was watching, from what little I did watch. But Saturday's game, the 8-2 loss to Buffalo, they pitched against. They had to play against former big leaguer Ryu. I think Ryu's doing his rehab down there, right, Chris?
Yeah, he's on a rehab right there in Buffalo. I think he's been out for over a year. I don't know if it was Tommy John or what, but yeah.
I think it was
Wentz.
Yeah.
He could have been a lot worse for Wentz. He got out of a bases loaded jam a couple different times, and even left the bases loaded, I think, when he left the game.
They also have an arm they have down there that I really liked. I thought the Tigers could have picked at the Rule 5 draft was Zach Pop. Totally forgot he went to the Blue Jays.
I thought he went to the Marlins, or
Yeah, they think he made a trade. I think the
and
Jays
then,
got him in a trade. I think.
yeah, or the Orioles even. But yeah, I remember that was
Oh,
the year
yeah,
that
that's
he
right.
put Badu, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, hard throwing reliever type who was, I think the Orioles got him from the Dodgers in the Manny Machado deal.
Okay, that's all right. That sounds
And
right.
then I think
Okay.
maybe the Marlins grabbed him in the Rule 5, or they traded him to Toronto for. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Zach Pop, yes, good arm.
Yes, but no, it was good to see the Ryu was out there, and it was just shocking to see. But yeah, Zach Rogue did not look well.
No.
No.
No. I was amazed that Zach Logue pitched well in the big leagues in his outing or two. I was, because he hasn't looked good in Toledo all year long. But
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just you get up there, the adrenaline, you execute your pitches, and you're okay. It's a thin line sometimes, but yeah, the Toledo pitching
All it takes
staff
is a line drive hit at somebody, and you look good.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's what talking Toledo. I don't think Colt Keith has really done much in the last. I don't think he did much at all in this last series.
No.
He reached twice on error and had an infield single. He did make a nice defensive play at third base that we clipped and showed around. But Malloy had a solid series, and Parker Meadows had a pretty good series too.
Yeah, it was pretty much about it. Toledo was kind of relatively ho-hum, if you will. And we go to Erie. Now, Erie again, the SeaWolves, I think out of all the teams among the 4 teams this year, Lakeland, by the way, won 12 in a row. And it was so weird because we both totally like, how did we miss that? We was like, just because even Lakeland wasn't even celebrating themselves. I went back on their social media. I didn't see a lot at all. So
until it got to 12, I think. I didn't know it until somebody pointed out that they'd won 10 in a row, and then they had a couple comeback wins, and then they finally lost yesterday.
They were trying not to jinx it. They didn't bring it up.
It's a strange team.
Yeah,
but we'll get to them when we get to them, I guess.
So Hartford came into town, and the SeaWolves swept them. First was Saturday's game was postponed to rain, and there was a doubleheader on Sunday, which Ben Malgeri provided the only offense in the game, and a 1-0 win on the first game, and then a 9-2 victory on the second game. But let's start with Friday's game, where it was a 3-0 shutout, and it was a good way for the SeaWolves to continue the good pitching. And Leo Lockhart, who I predicted that would come out and have a strong second half of the season, first and foremost, backed up my words. And secondly, he started following me on Twitter today, which is pretty cool, actually.
Nice.
But yeah, went in 5 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. And he's the one thing that he had a big problem with when he was with the Dodgers with walks. And it looks like he's cut down his walks. Chris, I did watch a couple of his innings pitch, but was there anything that stood out to you in his performance?
No, that's when I clipped the Gibson Long start. I got the Montero start. They're both on the YouTube page. They just need descriptions added. I'll get the Lockhart one as well. But he had like his career best outing against Hartford in Hartford. And I think he just seems to be pretty comfortable throwing inside to righties. He's a lefty, and he's got a pretty good breaking ball, and the fastball's, it's like 90, 94. It's about the same. He's kind of a left-handed Gibson Long in terms of velocity and stuff. The frame is a little bit different, but he just kept him off balance. He seems to be a pretty good pitcher, like at least knowing how to, or at least, maybe the catchers are working with him. We did see the Dingler one on the IL, but I think he caught the first game. I think he caught that game with Lockhart and then didn't catch it all in the doubleheader.
And the bullpen for Erie has also gotten significantly better, as the streak of not allowing any runs has been the case for Tyler Matson, who looks like he's a guy who's going to maybe perhaps pitch in the big league someday. 5 so far in the month of July. So far in his Erie career, he has 6 innings, has not allowed a hit, nothing. Just 5 innings, or 6 innings to 7 strikeouts so far, and I believe a pair of walks.
Yeah, Madison and Blake Holub. Blake Holub had a rough stretch. He was awesome, and then he had a stretch of, I think, giving up runs in 5 consecutive games, which is not ideal from a reliever. but he pitched a perfect seventh the other day, and he and Madison are pretty similar, and they both look pretty good at times. Like look like future big leaguers for sure at times, and then other times they'll hang a breaking ball and it goes very far. But yeah, those are two really good arms there at the back of the bullpen to add to. They have R.J. Pettit. I think Magno is back there in Double A
Yeah.
still.
Lane Henderson, by the way, Chris's favorite reliever of this stuff. You were talking. Chris and I had a good exchange about his delivery for a good 10 minutes. Reminding of
Yeah,
somebody.
it's the stuff is good, and he's pitched well. It's just such a violent delivery where he damn near hits his head on the ground, but it works for him. It's jarring to watch when you haven't seen it in a while. Like, oh my god, but yeah, no, they Erie just they have a bunch of solid players. They don't have Colt Keith anymore, but Justice Bigby kind of stepped in there. You know, he didn't have a monster weekend, but it was Winsel Perez who kind of, just as we were talking about how he isn't hitting for power,
Yeah.
comes out and hits two bombs in one series. We're like, oh, okay. So they just, and you said Malgeri had the home run in the one game. They just finding ways to win all year.
Yeah, and the thing is, with even a guy like Henderson too, I found it. Okay, so I found his delivery because we have to share this thing. We have to. It's just you look at it, and this is the only. Wish I had a better stuff from Erie, but this is if you want to look at how Chris was correct about this. Look how far his head goes down. That's just
violent.
Yeah, but he's been effective weapon too for the SeaWolves. And again, Erie might make the postseason in the second half of the season. It's not gonna. I mean, with losing Colt Keith, look like they haven't skipped a beat at all.
Yeah, and they may be getting some reinforcements soon too. So it's yeah, they play well. They can't make the playoffs twice, right? They've already made the playoffs. So if they won the division again,
sorry.
it would go to the. No,
Yeah.
I know what you mean, but like you're right. Like they might very well win the division the second time because they just keep playing well, and they're really good on the road all year. They're off to Binghamton now, which is a bummer because I think that's one of the worst cameras in the Eastern League.
Oh yeah.
So
that's the one that literally will go zoom in and just all of a sudden go like just.
Well, yeah, you'll just be watching from the third base box for the whole game for some reason. Like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah, but everything they do is zoom in though. They zoom in, and then when as soon as a ball gets hit, they're like, "We don't know." Like,
yeah, I think there was like a Workman triple last year or something like that.
Yeah,
somebody and it just like zoomed in on him running. We're like, what's going on? Not every, I mean, we are fortunate. Erie has one of the better camera setups in minor league baseball in terms of stealing clips and posting them on Twitter. It's up there.
Yeah,
so.
They're very accommodating about it because they don't mind. Yeah. They do not mind whatsoever. But Justice Bigby, let's talk about him. We're gonna be, by the way, we're working on our top 30. So thanks to our viewers who were like, hey, you know what? Well, you have a top 25. We want a top 30. We're like, all right, cool. So we're accommodating and we're going to do a top 30. We're working on that currently right now. Bigby will probably be on it. Big hint. I mean, if we didn't put him on there, people would just be like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? But yeah, he's having a phenomenal, even in the Hartford series, he was kind of, I mean, he had one game where he didn't have anything to at bats, but still, nevertheless, the guy continues to be an effective hitter for SeaWolves. And at some point, you have to be going, okay, you know what? You have to take this guy seriously as a prospect. So,
kind of like Kerry Carpenter. So at some point, he was a thing.
It is.
Well, he wasn't a thing before that.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty similar. It's Kerry Carpenter was just hitting for so much power that was like, geez, what's this guy doing? In Bigby, it's more like he's just hitting for a ton of average, and he's showing enough power. But yeah, and when you watch him, it's like this guy's a hitter. Like I posted a clip the other day of he had 2 hits in one game, and the second one was an inside fastball that was, and it wasn't like, dominant. It was like 93 miles an hour or something like that. But he pulled his hands in and just shot it right over the second baseman's head, and it was like, okay, like this kid can hit. Now you don't know if that's gonna translate up to the big leagues. We never really know, but at a certain point, if a guy's hitting 380 in Double A, you kind of have to say, okay, well, we got to see more of this kid. We gotta give him some credit. And yeah, just about everything I've seen from him says this is a guy worth knowing.
It's fun when you see little moments like that where they show they have some feel for hitting and not just swinging from their heels and connecting for a couple months.
Yeah, and I think it might have been a 1-2 or an 0-2 pitch or something like that. So he was just like, all right, I've got to fight this off, and he's strong enough and was able to get the barrel enough on it to knock it to right center. Like I had a moment like that with Josh Crouch last spring training though. So and he's kind of regressed this year or just been okay. So it's I don't know. You never want to put too much stock into something you see, but when you're hitting 380 after 25 games or 370 or whatever in Double-A, you kind of have to pay attention because that's the jump from high A to Double-A is usually the biggest one in the minors, right? And he has gotten better as he moved up. So I have him on my top 30. In fact, he's in my top 20.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. And by the way, so the Tigers checking out the Tigers, bottom of the seventh, and it's still 2-0 KC. And so if you're wondering what the Tigers have done on the top of the order for McKinstry, who is playing short tonight with Javier Baez struggling mightily, Green and Torkelson, you're looking at an 0 for 9. 0 for 9 so far.
It's the return of Ground Ball Riley today. I think he's got 3 ground outs.
Yeah.
So we got 3 singles and 2 walks. The offensive juggernaut.
Against the Royals, of course, the second worst team in baseball, I believe.
And then you have Carpenter of the Carpenter, Verling, and Maton. Carpenter's got a walk and a hit. And I mean, I feel bad for Matt Manning because back-to-back good starts where he goes out there and he's not rewarded. He was rewarded Saturday, but for this is ridiculous. I mean, I go ahead, Chris.
Well, I think you take that as a positive. Like we know the offense stinks. Yeah. Matt Manning has never looked like the guy we wanted him to look like, but he keeps seemingly getting the job done. Like I still don't quite understand. I think it has to do with his fastball shape and the fact that his slider doesn't move much that throws people off. I think but for whatever reason it works, and you just I guess you got to be pleased with his progress or his performance. It's just it's a bummer when the offense just goes completely silent like this.
I just wonder with that tall angular body if he hides the ball a little.
Manning, I think he has really good extension though.
He does. It's a lead extension. It's like 7'2".
Yeah. That's the thing. To me, and again, I want him to win, and that's fantastic. It would be great if they pulled this off and came back and won. But it's probably more important long term to see Matt Manning succeed, because the next playoff team they have, he could be a part of that team. When you look up and down this lineup, there's not a lot of guys who might be on the next playoff team, maybe 3. So it sucks to watch him be this offensively challenged, but I take more heart in seeing Manning do something good.
And of course, we just get an error from Zach McKinstry at shortstop. When people are yelling about Javi Baez all the time, I mean, that's the big discussion that there's been going on online and stuff, and people just need to realize that Javi Baez is like Comerica Park. All right, you're not getting rid of him. You just have to put up with it. I told people on Discord to just treat him like Jose Iglesias. He's there to catch the ball. If he does something on offense, it's a bonus. When they're different players, Iglesias was contact with everything, just no damage. That's just the way it is. Like people want this performance because he's making so much money, but it's not there.
Nope.
So you just got to live with it and say, okay, you got to build a team. Instead of building around Javi Baez, you have to build the team around him, if you will.
In spite of him.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's we'll see the next playoff team in our lifetime. Ty Cobb at 4.191. Well, Ty Cobb, if the Tigers
Ty Cobb is 85, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Look, the bottom line is this. This is where I struggle with right now. The bottom of the order for the Royals: Massey, Nick Lopez, and Taylor. 208, 215, and 125. And the Royals haven't done much either. I mean, but come on. Freddie effing Furman? 3 for 3. Freddie Furman. It's not Salvador Perez. It's Freddie Furman. Good Lord, people. What the hell?
These things
Freddie
happen.
effing Furman.
These guys are paid too.
I've been watching a little bit of Royal. I get the Royals on TV on satellite here. I don't get them blacked
I'm
out
gonna go
on
let the
streaming.
dog out. I'll be right back because I'm just.
I've actually seen a little bit of Freddie Fermin.
Uh-huh.
He's not terrible.
He had a 766 OPS heading into today. Where
Put
would
this
that rank
way.
on the Tigers? Third?
I'd dump Eric Haas for him in a split second. wouldn't even be a contest.
Yeah, he'd be the third best hitter in the Tigers lineup today, behind Green and Carpenter.
And that's I understand what Roger's saying though. He's a pretty anonymous backup catcher, and he's 3 for 3. And the Tigers never just I don't know. They have so few guys who are capable of just stealing a game for you.
But, I mean, it's about consistency, right? Like
Yeah.
it was awesome to see. Everybody was upset with Nick Maton, and they sent him away for a while. But we talk about this all the time. Like fans don't really stay mad at you as long as you perform. And he came in and hit that big, what ended up being the game-winning home run. I think people were excited. Hasn't done anything since then, because that's the hardest thing about Major League Baseball is being consistent, right? That's the difference. I should mention Spencer Torkelson came in today with his career best 8-game hitting streak.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to get one more at bat to keep that going. But Green is the most consistent player on the team. And after that, you could say Carpenter. Honestly, I mean,
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, he's been such a pleasant surprise, man. Like it's kind of wild there. And
That home run, that home run he hit the other day on the high heater. That was a solid 2 inches above the strike zone, maybe 3. He's had a couple of those this year where it is, you always hear about, he can't catch up to the high heat. You hear that for batters across the league every year. Man, when he is zoned in on that, it's impressive.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I hate to invoke the name because we hope that he's better than this, but it reminds me of when Brendan Bosch had those 2 hot halves to a season where it was, if you threw it near the zone, you could throw it low, you could throw it high, and he would connect and hit it hard. And that's what Carpenter does. And, we're getting to the point where I think teams are going to have to start trying to, I think he's not great at hitting breaking balls, but it's not awful. I mean, it's under 200 or whatever, but you can't just throw him nothing but breaking balls. He's actually shown a pretty good eye.
Yeah.
He's still an aggressive hitter, but it's getting to the point where I think you can start counting on him. You always worry that the league's going to figure him out and it won't work anymore. But the way he's playing, it's hard to ignore.
That opposite field home run he hit the other day too. I wonder, it'd be fun to look it up. I bet Savant probably has it right. Opposite field, low trajectory home run. I bet that was top 5.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. Wasn't his first pro home run to the opposite field? I feel like it was against the Angels.
Yeah, and that little itty bitty fence out there. That's like 5 feet high.
Let's see.
Sorry, folks. I lost my temper there about Freddie effing Furman, but no, I'm not sorry. You know what? I'm not sorry at all. I'm not sorry at all. But it was weird. Just for a moment, I went to go let the dog out, right? And all of a sudden, I hear the dog like quickly run, and I'm closing the door. All of a sudden, here, and then I went outside, and our backyard's pretty dark, but all I could see is this dark shadow. My dog's black, and it just run like some cat just flat, and I think my dog bit the tail or something.
Oh no!
And then went and like some chaos event just occurred in the backyard for a moment. But I'm not going back out there because I don't know what trail of death is out there. My dog, my dog Lucy, will be out there for all like sometimes we'll go out there just to quote unquote hunt, and the next day when I go out to let her out or I'll go in the yard to pick up her poop or whatever, there's something dead lying somewhere. And it's such a unnerving thing because it's like the Jaws music's going in my head, like going, all right, what am I gonna find here? Oh boy, oh crap.
The Castillo yard where squirrels go to die.
Yeah, my dog. Look, because Dearborn Heights, or where I live in Dearborn Heights, Dearborn area, there is a rat problem, and it's embarrassingly bad. It's just the city sucks anyway. All
Matt Damon is there.
Matt Damon
was there.
Yeah. All right.
Departed joke.
I like that. No, that was good. That was good.
So let's see. The Carpenter fly ball to left field, right? 28 degrees launch angle, opposite field. higher than I thought.
Yeah, I thought it would be lower too.
No.
Well, I guess I'm probably wrong then.
But it was a low center cut pitch. Oh well. But anyway.
So one of the things too, we'll get to West Michigan here in a second, but there was a really good article that came out today about the players who've been helped or hurt by the shift limits. So Jared Kelenic comes up as a player that has actually helped. 13 great more hits, and Jose Ramirez 14. That was a nice catch by Riley Green. I just watched it.
That's what I heard. I didn't see it. Yeah, I heard that. Quite a good catch. Wait, did they? Ooh, Wyatt Langford signed with the Rangers for $8 million. Officially signed with the Rangers for $8 million. So, $300,000 more than the Tigers paid for Max Clark.
Yeah. But speaking of which, Tigers did sign Max Clark today. So if you're wondering how many draft picks the Tigers have signed, here. Let's do that real quick because that should be top of mind and people care about the draft. And probably the next question is, when is Max Clark going to start in high A?
Not high A, no way.
No.
West Michigan?
Yeah.
Possibly Lakeland, but
yeah.
I would think probably Florida Complex League for a couple weeks at least.
So here's who the Tigers have signed so far among the draft. So Max Clark, the shortstop, Kevin McDougall is signed.
They signed him?
No. Sorry. I'm sorry. I misread that. Sorry. Max Anderson has signed for an undisclosed bonus, believed to be under slot. So
Probably
they've also come to, let's see here. Is it Jaden? No, they said Jaden Ham.
They got Ham for $400,000, I think.
Yeah. Andrew Sears signed like an hour ago. They've signed Brady Cherwick, the catcher in the 15th round, and that's about it as of right now.
Well, I think Bennett Lee and the catcher from Wake Forest and then the pitcher from Missouri State also signed, but also for undisclosed bonus.
Was it did Beck sign or did John Beck sign too? I thought I saw something about Beck. John Beck, the shortstop.
I think Epic in our Discord.
Yeah.
Said that Peck and who else signed? Sears. I don't know where he saw that though, but he said that, and then Sears Callis announced that Sears had signed afterwards. So I'm assuming that Peck signed. Gregory Peck.
Yeah.
I don't know what we think of Big Ten pitching, but I've seen, as living here in Iowa, you see a fair amount of Nebraska stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Max Anderson hits. I mean, I don't know what that means as a pro, but man, as a college guy, that dude just hit everything from high, low, breaking stuff, fastballs, whatever.
Yeah, you wonder. I mean, he's a guy who had a pretty high chase rate this year, but also made contact with everything. So he may just be one of those guys who just hits, like you said. It'll be interesting. But there are pretty damn good arms in the Big Ten. At least you're seeing good stuff. Not necessarily the cream of the crop, right? But you got Brody Brecht down there, who's probably going to be a top 5 pick next year.
Yep.
George Klassen was one of the hardest throwers in baseball this year from Minnesota. He didn't know where it was going, but he was there. And Iowa usually has multiple pretty good arms.
They had another guy drafted. I forget his name right now, but yeah. Is it Langenberg or something like that?
I was
thinking Langerhans or something like that. Yeah.
Ryan Langerhans. So it'll be interesting. I am very curious to see what happens with him because you'll see some people say that his swing's not going to work in pro ball, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see if it works. I would like to see this. So.
By the way, Chris, when you were resetting the computer, I wanted to throw this at you because Big Blog Red Machine threw this out there for a trade for Michael Lorenz. Before I forget, because I wanted to get. I don't know, Justice Thompson and Joe Boyle. I mean, Joe Boyle, great, 100 strikeouts over 60 innings, but also 66 walks. I don't know. I wanted your take on it because I know we've seen Thompson for Dayton, but I just thought it was like, come on, really? Are we just throwing crap on a wall and see what sticks?
Yeah, kind of. That's. I mean, I don't know how much you value Lorenzen. I mean, he's an all-star, right? He's pitched pretty well,
right?
But you're getting him for 12 starts, something like that. And technically he has plenty of bullpen experience. Maybe if you make the playoffs, he can come out of the bullpen for you. I don't know if you want him being one of your 3 or 4 playoff starters, but yeah, I mean, Justice Thompson was a guy who got off to a really good start. I want to say 2-3 years ago for North Carolina, and then just kind of tapered off over the course of the season. I think he went like the 3rd or 4th round. He's a very athletic outfielder, but I don't think he hits enough to make it to the big leagues. I mean, maybe 4th outfielder. And like you said, Boyle was a guy who never threw any strikes at Notre Dame, but he's got a huge arm.
Right.
And
Huge guy, too. He's like massive dude.
There's a couple outings last year where he absolutely dominated the Whitecaps. It was like 5 innings and 12 strikeouts or something like that. But yeah, if you can't throw strikes, what good are you? So honestly, I didn't think it was the worst trade deal. I just don't think the Tigers would take it. Right, those aren't their kinds of players. It's from a value standpoint. Maybe you're talking about a couple 35 plus FV or whatever, guys that lottery tickets, sort of. Maybe you could make a tweak here or there, but yeah, I don't know.
It'll probably be the Al Avila special there. I mean, that's an Al Avila trade if I've ever seen one. We'll get something for him.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as the Robbie Grossman, Chris Anglin return or whatever. But
Chris Anglin, who's now even not on the team anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he's topping at 87.
Yeah. After losing the first game against Lansing, the Whitecaps came back, sold out crowd. They had big crowds over the weekend out in Comstock Park as they came back Saturday night, won 3-2, and then won 4-2. As now they, like I said, they're going to be headed out to South Bend this week. We'll be out there Friday night. So if you are out in Central Indiana, by all means, come by and say hello to us. Thanks to Pick from Discord, who's going to be hosting us. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Kind of fingers crossed that Jackson Jobe gets promoted to West Michigan, but we'll see.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Noah wants to know, do you guys know when Peyton Graham will be back? We haven't heard anything as of yet. Not an update or anything. So
no, and oddly enough, so Ryan Kreidler came back on Saturday. He got 2 plate appearances for the Florida Complex League Tigers. Walked in one. I don't know what he did in the other one. And then he was DH. Only 2 plate appearances. Felt kind of low, and he didn't play today. So I don't know if reckless speculation is maybe he went out there and tried it and was like, no, this isn't it. But yeah, we don't know. Haven't heard anything on Peyton Graham. There have been a handful of other guys that, like Garrett Burhan, went on the IL for West Michigan. We mentioned Dingler. A lot of guys just kind of, you look at the transactions log and like, oh, he's on the IL. All right, didn't know that.
By the way, we did hear that potentially Young will be up with Erie within the next week. So
yeah, that's that might. I don't know how they'll massage that roster. We did see that they sent Gage Workman back to the development list and brought Daniel Cabrera back. And Daniel Cabrera has a new stance, or he's kind of a little bit more open and quiet, and his hands are lower. It's a little bit interesting looking, but he did get a double. I don't know if he did much else. They're trying things with these guys, at least.
They're trying. By the way,
I enjoyed watching Young leg out that triple the other day.
Yeah, it looked like somebody. Chris said that it looked like somebody trying to run on an elliptical machine.
Yeah,
Here's
like a human elliptical machine.
Field. Green came in.
Green catch.
Oh,
nice.
Willie Mays.
They got out of an inning. First and second, nobody out, and Holton and White got out of that. So that's a nice, keep the team in the game.
Yeah, this is a team that could come back against.
But dude just had a leadoff double.
Nice.
Yeah.
And an over-the-shoulder catch by Riley Green.
All
Should have
right.
been an all-star, man. Wish he would have stayed healthy.
Yeah.
That's
It's just
I wonder if that's the one thing for keeping them from trying to give him one of those, deals. Like, sign him for 8 years and $100 million or whatever. Probably not the one thing. There's probably several things.
By the way, Detroit Degenerate says Badu still looks injured while running looks limpy. I completely, ever since even Toledo, we saw that. I thought he looked a little stiff.
Yeah, it looked to me in Toledo, it looked like he wasn't trying to open it up and try to run. It was like he's being cautious, which you see sometimes with guys coming back from injuries like that. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he's not still injured.
Yeah, Degenerate, usually he has a pretty good explosive first step out of the box. and I haven't seen it. It doesn't. It's something to be concerned with. I mean, Riley Green came flying. I mean, he scored from first. I think it was Saturday's game against Toronto, and it was his first game back. Yeah, it was his first game back where he was just like, Riley Green looks fine, but that is a pause of concern. But get back to West Michigan. So it was the same thing. We're talking about Roberto Campos needing power, and Roberto Campos is like, you know what, I got you guys. And his first home run in 44 games or something like that effect?
Since the middle of May, so almost 2 months, yeah. And it was a 3-run homer to the opposite field. He's got tons of raw power.
Yeah.
He really does. He hits the ball hard. He makes good contact. He crushes fastballs. Just needs to get in the air more. And hopefully that comes with time. I don't know. We may just have to settle for him hitting tons of line drives and like topping out at 15 home runs a year.
As far Lucky J was asking about the trade rumors, right now it is the same kind of quiet that we got in the MLB draft. Scott Harris, by the way, addressed the college bat narrative. He goes, I don't know where that came from. Everybody was saying it. Everybody.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like it must have started with some people just making assumptions, because I don't think the Tigers were ever like, well, obviously nobody had Max Clark going to the Tigers, so it wasn't like they were like, hey, this is who we're going to take. They were very tight-lipped about it, the whole thing, and you could see why. Some of the guys they took later, you're like, yeah, you want to keep that a secret. The Jank Diaz, like, you don't want. If you're going to go for that guy, you don't want other people knowing it, because it's an awesome story. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where you read it in a mock draft and you assume that those people know what they're doing. And they don't. We saw the best mock draft. Keith Law had the best mock draft. It was 5 out of 28, I think. Yeah, you're like a 20% hit rate. Nobody knows. They hear about these players working out with teams. They know from the agents who's interested, but you don't know who is going to pick who on the day. So especially not in the bonus pool era. Like there was I don't remember what year it was, but Jim Callis got like the first 20+ picks right in a mock draft once, back before the bonus days. Because you just knew that there wasn't any thought of pooling money around. People kept putting Walker and Martin to the Giants in the first round, and they ended up getting him in the third round, their third pick, I think, or second pick, and giving them like $3.5 million or something like that. It's tough to know.
Yeah, I think I don't even want to look at my mock draft. I think I got 1 or 2 right of the top 15, which, hey, that's not bad, but or top 10, or 2 out of 10, which is not good, but whatever.
So, Michael
I was gonna have Skeens at number 1. I was like, then I changed my mind at the last moment. So that's me second guessing myself. But at any rate, getting back to West Michigan, yeah, Young, we've heard, might be heading to Erie, and he continues to hit the ball pretty well. He had a decent series over the weekend. But Brady Allen, too. Brady Allen picked up the game a little bit as well.
Brady Allen's a solid minor league player. He's really helped them. He plays awesome defense in the corners. He can fill in at center. Yeah, he's producing roughly the same level as Jace Young. Not quite as much power, but that helps them a lot. They need guys like that on that team. They're it's kind of cobbled together right now. We like guys like Carlos Mendoza, but he's a great leadoff hitter and catalyst, but he's not necessarily somebody who's going to help knock in runs, and that's what they need. And that's what Michael Myers said. Campos equals Avisail Garcia. Maybe Garcia was much faster and probably a better outfield defender. With Campos, I'm just kind of hoping for Yandy Diaz. Just shoot for the stars there with a guy who crushes the ball and hits everything. But he's only 20. We'll give him time. But yeah, they're playing Luis Garcia a lot. Pacheco is still struggling. He's got a lot of doubles this year, but just too many strikeouts, not a ton of home runs. I'm trying to think who else is down there doing. They brought up Soretti, so he's gone. Josh Crouch is still there. He's hitting okay. I think he's close to 300 with them. But yeah, so I would expect if Young does get the call to Erie, some people think maybe Max Anderson to West Michigan, which would be fun. I think maybe it's time for Luke Gold to get the call up from Lakeland. He got off to a terrible start last year, a terrible start this year. But in the last 2 months, he's hitting like 330 with power.
Wow.
And I think that means it's probably time for him to move up.
Yeah.
And he is more of a natural second baseman than anything else. So maybe we'll see him.
By the way, you know what's interesting too is something that I was looking at some of the numbers for, kind of looking at maybe some other storylines to look at for West Michigan, and Eric Pinellas, who is
He
kind
just
of
came off the IL.
came off the IL. I mean, he still has an issue with walking still, but I mean, it's intriguing arm because heading into you look at his numbers, 30 strikeouts in 26 innings. The walks are still an issue, but I mean, last year he struck out 62, but it walked 44. But that's an arm that it's still intriguing because, I mean, his ERA is at 2.05. Excuse me, but his WHIP is actually significantly down. But I don't know, just a name we haven't really mentioned before.
I mean, he's a guy that has long been, they've loved his fastball for a while now. You see, like Baseball America, he gets like the best fastball grade in the system. I think he's actually toned it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like he'll hit 97, but he's trying to throw more strikes and stuff does play. But yeah, he's a work in progress there. Alvarado is back with West Michigan right now. He's pitching fairly well outside of a couple really blow-ups.
Yeah.
So
Another strong start from Troy Melton on Saturday too. I mean, it was a decent start. I mean, it was 6 hits in 4 innings, but still, it was a good start. He battled his way through it. In other words,
yeah, and Troy Melton is an interesting guy because he's similar like to Job, where he's not like the stuff looks pretty good. He's a big, strong dude. Yeah, he just doesn't really dominate the way you would think. But he also doesn't get blown up. Bases loaded
It's
for Kerry
fourth
Carpenter.
rounder, right?
Melton was, I believe, yeah. That was last year. So they had, it was Young, Graham, and then did they lose a pick in the third round, or did they have, who was their third rounder? Was it
what year?
last year?
Last year.
Oh,
I thought maybe they lost a pick.
I can't remember who they had last year. I thought they didn't have a third round pick, did they?
I thought they maybe lost a third rounder for signing Baez or Erod. I don't remember, but
last year's draft. I'll check real quick here because I have the moment while they didn't have a third round pick last year.
yeah,
Okay.
I feel pretty good about.
There we go. Thank you, Sergio. Picked Tampa for Meadows.
Well, that was their. Yeah, I guess that was their
Traded pick, yeah.
comp pick.
Yeah. Number 75 or 76.
Yeah.
So we did
Kerry Carpenter versus Jose Cuas.
Quas.
Are they going to let Carpet Coss is a right-hander, so they're going to let Carpet. Well, I feel pretty good with Carpenter here, but he can't do it every time, can he?
Yeah.
He can't. He couldn't possibly come
He
through.
could do it one more time.
We'll stick around. We'll stick around for the pod because today's kind of like an informal, no segment show. So we'll stick around for Ian Carpenter. We do have to talk a little bit about Lakeland too, as well. Lakeland winning 12 in a row, so can't ignore that, and can't ignore some of the progress of those. Christian Santana continues to struggle mightily, struggling badly.
Yeah, it's been interesting that they, like I mentioned, Luke Gold. He's really been playing well. Graham was playing okay. He had picked it up a little bit, but it still wasn't, the guy that you want him to be. But they've been getting contributions from, like Mike Rothenberg came back and kept hitting.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Luke Gold's speed is anything special. I think that's minor league baseball. A ball, you can get 4 steals. You go, hey, wait, this catcher doesn't have a working arm. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's faster than I realized, but I thought he was basically an average runner. I'm trying to think who else has been performing down there. I keep seeing Richard saying they need a jam. Need a grand slam is what they need, right?
Yeah.
Carpenter's got a 3-0 count. Does he get the green light here?
Oh, you're ahead of me because I'm way behind.
Oh, sorry.
Let him loose. I say give him the green light.
Big dog eat.
Yeah.
Although
Koras says an interesting delivery.
You walk in and run. That wouldn't be the worst outcome in the world at this point.
Yeah,
especially he's there to hit, man. He's there to hit dingers.
Yeah. There's no Amir Garrett too. What happened?
Walk.
Oh,
hey.
God damn it. Son of a bitch.
I'll take it. Now a single gives you the lead, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Well, at least
Matt
yeah,
Miller.
because the Royals did release Amir Garrett, by the way.
Yeah, there were a
which is-
couple interesting
Bring him in,
DFAs
put
that
his locker next to Javi.
What'd you say, Chris? I'm sorry.
couple interesting DFAs that I saw today. I didn't see the Swaggerty one, but somebody mentioned it in the Discord that Travis Swaggerty, former 10th overall pick in the 2018 draft, was DFA'd by the Pirates, outfielder.
Wow.
And
It's a fall from grace.
Genesis Cabrera, the hard-throwing lefty from the Cardinals, was DFA'd. And that one kind of interests me because
Yeah.
his results haven't been there, but it is a big left arm, and I
Why
don't
does
know,
Tigers
Tigers,
take? I would take a flyer on him.
sure, if it doesn't work out, whatever. But yeah, it's a big left arm.
You know, though, it's ironic, though. Alex Reyes can't stay healthy. But don't say anything. Do not say anything. Do not say anything. Don't you dare.
In play runs. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
That looks like a
'cause
grand slam reaction to me, or
Yeah.
a triple to the corner.
No. Nothing. We'll talk about your. God damn it! I told everybody don't spoil it. Old BK. Damn it! I want to see. I'm watching it. This is
Wait,
what I'm
Carp
doing. I'm
couldn't
watching
score
it
from
right
first?
here on my screen. Look, this is it. I don't get copyrighted. On my
This is exactly what happened when they faced Lyles
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it was.
Here we go.
Yes!
last time.
Yeah, there we go.
Burling.
Matty Veer.
How about that?
All right. Thank God.
Get Jason
Veerling towards
Foley up.
respectability.
What was that? I'm sorry, Chris.
Be nice to get Maton a hit
Yeah.
here. I said he was veering towards respectability. It was a bad pun. I'd like to see Maton get a hit here too, or a walk.
It's all good.
But, yeah, it's nice.
It's all
nice
good.
to see them come back.
It's all good. Okay. Old BK.
BK.
I'm sorry about that, man. I got a little fired up there. I'm sorry. Nothing personal. Nothing personal at all. I'm sorry. Yeah,
See,
that was a
I don't
nice swing by
mind having
Verlin
anything
too.
spoiled for me.
I had the protective bubble. I just don't understand how.
I don't care.
Wait, I don't care either. No, but you are you watching the
here's the
Valley
thing,
Sports feed?
No, I'm watching Game Day.
Oh, okay.
I am
Yeah.
I'm blocked out on streaming with Kansas City. I can see KC over the satellite. I just don't have a TV in this room.
Oh,
What are you saying,
thank
Chris?
God
I'm
for
sorry.
Out swinging. So yeah, for me, we have DirecTV. I'm like 50 seconds behind. So listening to the audio on the MLB app is like 2 minutes behind. It's incredibly frustrating.
Oh yeah.
DirecTV is like 50 seconds behind. I watch on my computer, and I can get it through my work VPN. I have a work VPN to do my work, and so I just log on to my work VPN, and then I can watch the Tigers games, and it's like 40 seconds ahead of my TV. It's super frustrating.
If someone hits a home run or a big like 2 RBI double, I get a text before I get anything else.
Yeah, we
Come
get those with
back
the minor
from-
league updates too, which it can be helpful if you're trying to get video clips, but it's usually only when run score or whatever. But so we got a question here from Noah Conley. He said, "Do you guys think Scott Harris will have a lot better international amateur results? He won't be hard to beat out of Vila, but it definitely intrigues me that our assistant GM is from Rays. So
Well, the
supposedly,
bar is low.
yes, it is. Supposedly Metzler did not do anything with their international stuff with the Rays, but he was in that organization, so you would hope that he has a better feel for it. I will say this year's signing class is off to a really good start. We talked about it again in the Discord a little bit. So their big money signings were Enrique Jimenez, the catcher. He's hitting over 300 with more walks and strikeouts, which is good to see. I mean, it's the Dominican League. Stats don't mean anything. But they also gave $1 million to Anibal Salas, who is a athletic center fielder, and he's putting up Raylan Perez stats. If you guys remember Raylan Perez from last year, it's like he's got 4 homers, he's got 7 steals, it's like 25 walks and 26 strikeouts. So he's all over the place. And then the kid the youngest player in the class who barely made the cut, he was like 2 weeks from having to be in next year's class. Christian Perez has played like 8 games. He's hitting 360 or something like that, and he just hit his first home run today. So it looks like it's a pretty good crop. We'll see. You know, once those guys get to the States, you have no idea. But yeah, I don't know. I would like you said, it's a pretty low bar. It'd be hard to be worse than the Avila administration was on the international market. Although we talked about Campos, he's pretty good. Yeah. Kiter Montero looks like he's pretty good. So those are 2 potential notches in Avila's belt, if you will, on his bedpost.
His unspoiled belt.
Yeah.
A belt that's seen better days. No, but the real quick, the one thing. So Lakeland, by the way, they did win 2 out of 3. They scored 14 runs on the opener on Friday at Tampa, and that kind of stands out because this offense has been kind of not really discussed. There hasn't been really much to write home about, but Jenkins, by the way, who took over first base, Andrew Jenkins, big dude. I mean, you see that guy. He looks like a guy who looks like a great, exactly. You see a Grateful Dead concert. By the way, Dan Fernandez did remind us that Avila did find us Al Albuquerque. I thought that was Dave Dombrowski, though, wasn't it?
Well, that was when Dombrowski was the GM. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah, no, he did. Yeah,
but it may have been. Like, I remember we used to hear stories about, like, oh, that was Al Avila working that deal. Al Avila found him. It was just, Al Avila was responsible for J.D. Martinez, or Al Avila was the one working on the Michael Fulmer trade. And maybe, but when he was a GM, he didn't find many of those things. I guess the Reese Olson for Daniel Norris worked out pretty well, but.
Okay, so Dan. Okay, so that see, the thing is, Dan's probably right about that, because I know that he had, I think it was. He insisted on Isaac Paredes because a scout told him that they should go after Isaac Paredes. And as far as what was the other one? The J.D. Martinez, he had a relationship with J.D. Martinez because he went to the local high school where Al Avila lives, and they're connected that way too. So, what the hell was that? Come on, Banez.
What happened?
He just made a really crappy play. It was a ball that was going ahead up the middle. I mean, to be fair, the ball was going to go out of the infield, but the buying is just, so.
And now we've got a steal. So
great.
Foley's got to get those ground balls to find some gloves, but maybe we'll get an extra inning game.
Yeah, Bracinto, hopefully Bracinto and something comes out of
Yeah, I mean, Javier Osorio was so bad in the Dominican Summer League last year. He's better this year, but it's like, I don't know. We'll see. Briseño is a guy that I'm interested in, but again, even the Florida Complex League stats are misleading. It's bad baseball down there. That's what Roger's talking about, even in low A. So they scored 14 runs in that game. I think the Yankees scored 12 in that game. So I just assume it was one of those games where the wind is just blowing out in Tampa. We've seen those sometimes in Lakeland too. Remember the game where, who was it? Mickey hit 2 home runs, and so did Jacoby Jones.
Yeah,
I want to say, was that who did? Yeah, it was like it was off all off Garrett Cole.
Yeah,
but
so you were wondering if it was a walk-filled game. Both teams walked 7 times. It was really weird. Lakeland registered just 1 strikeout, but Tampa pitchers struck out 11. So that was a weird thing about the game. You look at the game, and it's just a statistical anomaly because. You look on the surface, it was because of actually De La Cruz and Jenkins were the driving force. De La Cruz, by the way, went 3 for 6 with 6 RBIs. He had a home run. He had a 3-run shot in the 6th inning. And De La Cruz has been hitting better as of late. And that's something. Hopefully if I get a chance to go down to Lakeland before the end of the year, I wanted to see the progress because Jose De La Cruz at one point was in our top 25, and he's fallen off the map. But it looks like I don't know, Chris. Definitely
I'm looking last 30 days, so 18 games for De La Cruz. He's hitting 282, 346, 465. So an 811 OPS, 4 doubles, 3 homers, 6 walks, 18 strikeouts. That's in 18 games. That's livable. 18 strikeouts and 71 at bats. That's Oh,
nice catch. Sorry, I just saw the Badu catch. Wow, what a nice catch.
Badu made a nice catch. Did he keep the runner from advancing?
Yes,
he did.
Hey, all right. Yeah, this is all happening. It's not even showing up on my app. Whatever.
It's happening in many different dimensions around the internet.
Yeah, it is. Well, and the other interesting thing about Lakeland is they're doing this with pitching that is. We talked about Marcano a couple times, but it's mostly pretty anonymous pitching, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking. Colin Fields has a 1.93 ERA over the last 30 days. Marcano, Jackson Jobe is there, so that helps. He's been pitching pretty well. I'm looking yeah, it's just
Boom,
not a ton of big names.
boom,
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
punch out, man.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh,
That you can
gotcha.
celebrate. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, because even
is that your strikeout call?
I try it when there's less than 2 out. I do a forward, and then men on base, you got to do it in front of you, so you're always still looking at the field.
Uh-huh.
But if it's the 3rd out, then you can go to the side and do the big punch.
Nice.
so Larry Love asked about why isn't fully dominate with the stuff he has. I think
I mean, he does. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, why does he not get more strikeouts? Is that what you mean?
if he gets more, because I think if that's a question, then honestly, I think it's because he pitches that sinker's heavy. He's got a heavy sinker too, and it's not like a strikeout pitch. That was a nice pitch. Wow, he did dot the corner on that.
It's the nature of his pitch. Yeah, the sinkers, pitches that move horizontally, are generally not strikeout pitches.
The
It's
lady
the
behind,
pitches that
Yeah.
move vertically. The curveball, the fastball.
yeah,
Those tend to be your strikeout pitches, unless you have like an insane changeup or whatever. And that's kind of a vertical pitch too, a splitter changeup like that. But yeah, I mean, among guys who throw sinkers, he's up there in terms of dominance. Like,
yeah.
I don't think his numbers are quite as ridiculous as like Zach Britton was back in the day, but Zach Britton was just about the best sinker baller I've ever seen out of a bullpen.
Yeah.
It's tough because sinkers are really actually, they're just easier to hit, and you're putting yourself in danger sometimes of just giving up some rough hits. Like that was the very beginning of the year. Foley came in. I think the first 2 games he came in with men on, he got ground balls both outings, but they just were in the wrong spots.
Right.
Some of that's just bad luck. But yeah, I mean, he's still pretty damn dominant, I would say, for what his bread and butter pitch is.
Yeah, again, if it was something that if he was not getting swings and misses on his, like if he threw a curve or a slider, that'd be a different story altogether. But but even in the complex league wise pitching, Chris, it seems like even there's been a few guys that have kind of made a little bit of a standout, right? I mean, again, this is all stats though. It's just, again, this is what sucks. This is the time of year that sucks, is because I wish we had the complex league here or even some of the Dominican, but there's nothing. So all we're on the same level as anybody else, looking at the data, and yeah.
Detroit General Rick Porcello had a hell of a sinker. Yes, he did. That was his best pitch, and it took him 4 or 5 years to really learn how to pitch outside of that, right? Before he actually had a couple good years and then won a fraudulent Cy Young award. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, the complex league to me is most interesting because of who's going to be there soon.
Yes.
They drafted 9 prep kids. I don't know if all of them are going to play or sign. I assume they all are. Maybe one of the
first
guys.
5 will, for sure, right?
I mean, so
10?
we know Clark signed. McGonagall's going to sign unless there's a medical, right? And that's the one holdup with all these guys. We've heard that Wilson and Rucker are going to sign. Jack Diaz is going to sign, and after that, it's like Hanford, and then the 3 kids they took at like the 16th, 17th, and 20th round.
Oh, the 20th round guy, wasn't he a bigger name prospect that just kind of fell because no one thought he was coming?
I don't know. He was one of the guys who had a profile. Like if you go to MLB,
Jonathan Rogers or something?
Yeah, they had a profile for him, but I don't think he was ranked among their top 250 or anything like that. They just happened to have a profile for him. But he was the one. So the one thing I keep pointing out is all those guys were not committed to what you would call grade A baseball schools, right? They weren't committed to UCLA or LSU or Vanderbilt.
Like Evans was UNC Charlotte.
Yeah. The Tigers used to take high schoolers at the end of the draft, kind of as a favor pick, or just get in relationships with them, or just in case something fell apart.
Or Mario and Pemba's son.
Yeah, but these guys. So the Ferris kid, I think from Houston, he was committed to Texas State.
Yes,
which is like where Johnny Valenti went, or I don't even know if it's John. No, Valenti was like St. John's. There was another kid that they had another kid who was kind of like John Valenti, who was a 4-year player at Texas State, whose name is escaping me. But the other kid is like Eastern Kentucky, the lefty from Florida, and then the 20th rounder is Louisiana Lafayette, which had a great year this year. I think they made the tournament.
Yeah.
But not traditionally a college baseball powerhouse, if you will. So I think they've got a chance to sign all those kids, and they're going to head to the Complex League in Lakeland, and it's going to suddenly make those teams a hell of a lot more fun to pay attention to.
So, by the way, Evans has retweeted that the Tigers stuff, and so as far as him potentially signing, so it's
Which one is that?
the Danielle Evans, the
Oh
pitcher.
yeah, the kid from I mean he was a college pick, so I think he's going to sign for sure. He was from Vanderbilt and then UNC Charlotte. You said?
Yeah.
Well, I saw that the 20th.
He also pitched. He also pitched at the Trenton Thunder too in the developmental league.
Yeah, the draft league. I think the 20th rounder follows the Tigers minor league report account. So
yeah, there we go.
There you go.
I wouldn't do that if I weren't going to sign with the Tigers.
So knowing full well you're going to be on full reel every time you do something. So,
but I think we did follow him, so maybe he just follows everybody who follows him.
I don't know about that.
Well, I just remember years during the Dombrowski drafts. I remember there was a year they had during the 40 draft pick era, right? There's 40 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Tigers had like 38 college guys. It might have been 39. It was just, such a different philosophy. If they get 9 guys in a 20-round draft,
they didn't take a high school player last year. I don't think.
Maybe right.
No, not. Yeah.
I was looking at our Twitter. We should follow some of these players. We don't do a good job of following people. Now I just realized that it dawned on me.
I mean, I don't know. I still feel weird being a 40-year-old following these teenagers and 20-year-olds, even if they are baseball players. I'm like, leave them alone. True. I don't need to know what they're doing and what they're liking.
Yeah, I don't really care at the end of the day. For me, it's if they can play baseball by all means, but it is strange sometimes too. Like when Lockhart started following me earlier on Twitter, I was just like, okay, cool. Yeah. But it is. I mean, it's cool because when you have belief in a player, like the Andre Lipsius thing, it's yeah. But either way, or Cole Keefe, for example. Cole Keefe was an early adapter of the minor league report. He followed us pretty quickly, remember that, Chris? It was all.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a guy who he loves baseball, and he'd like to go back and look at his clips, right? Like there are some players who are like that, and I don't blame them. Yeah. I like if I were, I used to be the kid playing NHL '94 who would stop and replay that goal over and over and over and over again just to make my friend angrier and angrier. That's how I
was not doing the cheat move. No, I'm not doing the cheat move. I was not coming across the crease and do the cheat move. That was the way I used instant replay.
I would just go around the net and then shoot top shelf every time.
Yep.
In your face, Tom Barrasso.
Yeah. And my favorite was victimizing Ed Belfour because I hated Ed Belfour when I was with the Blackhawks.
Belfour, those goalies back then, Ron Hextall. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's get back. Let's see if we have any questions on Twitter. So, by the way, it was funny. I posted this last night on Twitter. I went to Dairy Queen to pick up some ice cream for the lady, late night run, and I see the Devin. I see a license plate that says D Booker, Phoenix Suns, and really tinted windows. I mean, these windows were. I mean, you could not see into the car.
Nice.
And I was thinking to myself, well, maybe he was driving. 94 is right there. So
he's from Michigan, right?
Yeah. So we did get. Okay, so from Stephen Butts, we did get a couple questions on Twitter from this evening. Even with the injuries and possible trade the deadline deals, Tigers are going to have a surprisingly crowded pitching staff. Can they maintain this depth, or is it all a mirage? That's a pretty good in-depth question there. I'll start with your response to that.
Could you read it one more time? I missed.
Oh, sure. Even with injuries and possible trade line deals, Tigers are going to have a surprisingly crowded pitching staff. Can they maintain this depth, or is it all a mirage?
Whew, that is a great question. I'm assuming it means after the trade deadline?
Correct.
Yeah, I think it gives them the depth is more reason why you just move Erod and Lorenzen without even really questioning it if you like the return. But, they aren't going to force a lot of innings on Manning. They're not going to force a lot of innings on Skubal. They're going to have plenty of time plenty of ways to use everybody who's available. So I think, they can maintain what they have.
Okay.
I think it's unlikely just because pitchers constantly get injured. I mean, you could replace Erod Lorenzen theoretically with Faedo and Wentz, right? But that's kind of a downgrade. based on how the other two, the veterans, have pitched this year. And then if somebody gets hurt, who are you going to? It sounds like they want to keep Brisky in the bullpen. Who's the next man up? Is it Jack O'Loughlin? Is it Sawyer Gibson Long? Is it? I mean, I don't even know who else they have on the 40-man who could fill in starting there. I guess Casey Mize could come back and pitch a few games, but so yeah, I mean, I think it wouldn't shock me that if in any trades they make, they do end up getting a pitcher who's a AA, AAA, almost ready to contribute. Just maybe might not be on a 40-man, but I don't know. Yeah, I just knowing how pitchers get injured, it's hard for me to imagine that they're going to be okay down the stretch. I think it might get kind of ugly. We might get some Drew Hutchison style, Willie Peralta style starts down the stretch.
Ashton Goodell.
Ashton Goodell, yeah.
No.
I kid.
No, and Michael Mayer brings up a good point. The Turnbull could be back by mid-August, but I don't see Turnbull being a Detroit for too much longer. The way that whole thing's been going down, it's been strange, really strange.
Yeah.
So I don't. If Turnbull can be even, if they're like, oh, he's healthy. Okay, go. If they can trade him, they'll probably trade him. The whole thing's been weird. Since the Scott Boras signing, Scott Boras took over as his agent. Mm-hmm. So the other question we had, so we got already, like, who do you think gets traded and what does the return look like for them? Honestly, with this, I will say this. Whoever the Tigers are trade or have in mind, they're already in the war room they have. It's somebody that fits that profile they're looking for. Somebody that controls the strike zone. Somebody that, but the problem is that it could be. There's no pattern. We're not establishing a pattern or anything. The Tigers have, like, for example, when they signed Freddie Pacheco, I was like, wow, that's a pretty good deal considering the live arm that St. Louis let go. And then you realize, oh, St. Louis probably saw something that he was injured or something and let him go. But still, they saw something there. And so I think if there's a prospect they identify, they'll identify him for three things that will help the Tigers do better, which is they need more power in their lineup. They need more pitching. So maybe a left-handed starter or a reliever. And more importantly, some team, like they need some more versatility in the outfield too. So if they can identify those three players, by all means, but it's so broad. I can't really specify if, like, for example, like the foregone conclusion going to St. Louis. St. Louis is a crapper right now. They're kind of too far back, but then go ahead, Chris.
Their GM has come out and said that they're selling. Their goal is to get pitching. They want pitching. So I was like, all right, well, have a Turnbull and give us and have a Skubal and give us a Walker, and we'll see you later.
How about a Mason Wynn? I'll take a Mason Wynn.
Yeah.
No, tell me this. Here's one thing I've been seeing from a lot of folks on Twitter, and just for fun reading. They want someone who is, quote unquote, nearly major league ready in return for all these trades, which I guess would always be nice. But do you care? I mean, is that a big deal?
I mean, I think I would want the best player you can possibly get, but does that mean I want a $2 million international signing who's 17 years old? Probably not. I do think I would want somebody at least in high A who might be ready to go to double A. Just, again, it's like that Reese Olson sort of level prospect where they might be a year away, but could be pretty good.
That makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if they go and get a guy who's almost major league ready. And there are some teams where that makes sense, right? Like people keep pointing out how the Orioles have just crowded upper minors with tons of prospects. And we talked about the Rangers before with Justin Foscue and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think that could be who they target, but I do think you don't want to just give a guy away because you're getting somebody who's close to big league ready. I mean, that's kind of Dawel Lugo, right?
Yeah,
like that's kind of what they did there. So
the last question for the night comes from Deadly Ninja Bees. Number one, who taught Brisky that sinker? I'd like to buy him a fruit basket.
He deserves it.
Number two, what does this rotation look like in a month? I think we've already answered that question, which is going to be bare bones. And number three, which player are we not talking about that'll get an audition soon? You know what? I'm gonna quickly chime in with two players that we're gonna see and get an audition soon. So Gibson Long, I feel like he's gonna maybe get an audition to see what he. Again, that's just more of like that's my long shot, but my reality is somebody along the lines of like we can see Parker Meadows here in the next month or so get an audition. So
Someone tweaks a hamstring or something, you got to believe in that outfield. There's no reason not to give him a look at this point. He's been pretty steady for a while here.
all right,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that would shock us to see, like, get called up. I'm trying to think.
And the Tigers win 3-2.
There you go. Nice comeback win.
Yeah.
Lang with a 1-2-3, 2 strikeouts, ground out. That'll do. Increases his trade value.
Yeah, blood. Yeah, there we go. Oh, he subtly increases the trade value there.
No, but hey, nice work, everybody.
Yeah.
Way to will the Tigers to a comeback win.
Me yelling about damn Freddie Furman maybe helped. I don't know. I take responsibility for a little bit of that.
Sure.
But no, the sinker. I don't know. I've always felt like he threw a sinker, or he threw a. I thought it was more of like a. I don't know if it was a. I think it was a cutter. It looks like more like a cutter to me, but.
So I remember you're talking about Brisky.
Yeah.
I recall him being like a 4-seam changeup guy mostly, but I want to look to see on Baseball Savant because I thought it was like his fastball had nice ride and a decent spin rate on it. But so maybe they did start working on the sinker because his fastball was getting hit. Let me look at, as I said, checking the old Baseball Savant to back this up.
Well, whatever it was getting some really good movement. It was starting on the inside corner and then just getting inside right on their hands, and they couldn't do anything with it. It was really fun to watch.
Yep, blood right. He did it. He got a 1-2-3 ninth. So, yeah, you know what, Crayola. The reason why the only 3 outfielders listed in Toledo's roster. So, what you could see is the reason why I talk about maybe Parker Meadows getting an opportunity is at some point they got to figure out what they're going to do with him. I mean, he's on a 40-man roster, so they're gonna bring him up for something. But what I could see happening to make sure I have this right, because I was trying to make sure I have it was also even to the abundance of pitching that Erie has right now. So Brian Packer, by the way, has been moved is now going to be listed as a pitcher. So what you could see is, I think at West Michigan right now, a guy like Brady Allen could see some time at Double-A. So either the likes of Brady Allen could see potentially a time in Erie. You could see. I don't think Campos is gonna. I think Campos is gonna stay in West Michigan the entire season. But right now, there's 5 outfielders right now in West Michigan: Brady Allen, Lazaro Benitez, Chacon. Chacon's on the development list. Sorry, and Dom Johnson. So,
and Austin Murr,
yeah,
who plays outfield and first base.
Yeah. So you could see. I don't know. I can see Brady Allen going up there at some point, and there you go. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Cruz has come back down to earth, but it wouldn't shock me maybe if he gets bumped up to Toledo at some point. Malgeri's doing okay. They can handle center field with somebody else. Winsel Perez has played plenty of center field already. I mean, he's back mostly to second base, but maybe they bump him up and have him play center. They've got some options.
Did you see that Pinick got put on the developmental list?
Yeah, right before the All-Star break.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I didn't know if that was just because the All-Star break was coming up and they wanted to get him a break there, but yeah, I was a little bit shocked by that. But maybe they're working with him on something. They want to. Maybe they have been working with them on something and it hasn't quite clicked in games, so they just want to take some time off and
maybe maybe develop another cutter.
Maybe. I mean, I think that would help him.
Cutter school, the Robin Long School of Cutters. All right. On that note,
cuts.
On that note, we're going to end the podcast. Thank you so much for listening to us live on Motor City Bengals. God damn it, did it again. Motor City Metrics.
$1 in the jar.
$1 in the jar. Sorry. And Tiger Minor Report. What's up, Chris?
I will point out, I looked at Brisky. Brisky's throwing harder this year, but he threw his sinker last year, but only 7% of the time. And so far this year, in one outing, 27% of the time. So it definitely seems to have been an emphasis of his. since coming off the injured list. So.
Get them an edibles fruit basket. Those are pretty sweet.
No, nice. And for me, if you're listening and you're going to be in Kansas City on Wednesday night or Thursday afternoon, I should be at both games. Reach out to me on Twitter. Love to meet any of our listeners. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
we have a listeners, or I will say this: what I love about our listeners is they cover the United States pretty well. We have a couple guys. We have a couple people who live in Indiana. Elton, our man. Shout out to Elton, who listens to the podcast on a regular basis. He's out in Indiana. But yeah, we'll be out in South Bend on Friday, and we'll have a show on Thursday, recapping the series with Kansas City. Hopefully, it's a sweep. And go to our patreon.com/Tiger Minor Report because we're getting some really good content you're not getting anywhere else. And I'll tell you why, because Jerry is a damn wizard. Jerry is I feel like Jerry is not telling us something. I feel like Jerry works for the FBI. He's not telling us, or some sort of rocket science. But
he's the secret weapon. He's our Oppenheimer.
yeah, he's an Oppenheimer. Yes, he is. He is an Oppenheimer. I can't wait for that movie to come out this weekend, by the way. Speaking of
I think we just got a nickname for him. I like it.
I like that too. You know what, that's gonna stick. Chris, I don't know about you, but him calling him that name, but Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer. Ooh, even better. There we go. Yeah, but he did a profile on Luke Gold. So player profile, advanced data. This is the reason why you should go to our Patreon. So patreon.com/Tiger Minor League Report, and we'll be working on a top 30, which will be out hopefully by the beginning of next week. I told Chris I was going to do it today, and then everything fell behind at work. But,
Shame.
yeah.
Also, I told everybody I was going to do a report on extra players or other players who weren't on our prospects list, and I got halfway through it and never did the rest. So I'm not holding you accountable at all because it doesn't matter. I mean, the other option is we wait until after the trade deadline and fold in any prospects they get. But I felt like it'd be, it might be more fun to just do it after the draft and we can add those guys in later.
Definitely. And so, by the way, the draft picks you have till July 25th, correct, Chris?
Yeah. That's what I read in Evan's article today, Evan Petzold. And, we were projecting that maybe it was the first week of August or because that's what it had been the last couple of years. But then I looked at it and I'm like, oh, it's just 2 weeks from the end of the draft. Yep. Because this year's draft was about a week earlier than last year's. So, yeah, we'll know. And the Tigers put out an announcement that they signed Sears and Peck and Clark today. So I imagine we'll see all of them sign here in the next couple days.
Definitely. On that note, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you Thursday. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.